This is Elias Dufexes. You're watching That Tom Clancy Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode of That Tom Clancy Show. I am, of course, your lovable robot host, Mr. That Tom Clancy. I hope you all are having an excellent Tuesday, or whatever day of the week it happens to be, if you are seeing this on any other day other than the day it goes live, unless it is another Tuesday. Yeah, I just went there. Well, thank you all for being here, of course. It means the world to me, but it also means the world to my guests. Now, today I am joined by two of the developers behind an upcoming game that was entered into last month's hashtag Pitch Your Game called Silicon Dreams. Something that feels, to me at least, very much like the opening minutes of Blade Runner, if the opening minutes of Blade Runner could also pull your heart out of your chest and stomp all over it. So, Bits and Pixels, please join me in welcoming our guests today, Jamie and Danny.
Hello,
guys. How's it going?
Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Yeah.
Well, before we get too far into Silicon Dreams, I have one question that I like to ask everybody when I start the show. And that is, what are you all playing right now?
Knew it. Love that question. Love that question. I am very, very pleased to announce, mostly because I hope I can spread the word about this amazing indie gem. I've been playing the city-state / civilization city builder Songs of Six, currently in early access on Steam right now. Whew. I don't know if swearing is allowed yet on the show. But just to be safe, I will do it. I will not do it yet.
No, I mean, look,
okay.
I don't have a set rule on swearing.
Okay.
I personally try to avoid it, but at the same time, I've already, I have indicated that this channel is not intended for children.
Okay.
And if swearing happens, it happens. Sometimes I'm the first to swear. Sometimes my guest is the first to swear. Sometimes I just throw it out the window and I don't fucking care.
All right.
So,
very good. Okay. Well, I've got a mouth like a sailor, notoriously. I'll tone it back a little bit, and give this game, Songs of Six, a nice softball. God damn, it's so good. Yeah, modeling up to like 80,000 individual units in battles, and you've got to lay out the entire infrastructure for your city. So good.
I can tell you right now, I would thoroughly hate that game.
Probably also hate Factorio, another one of my favorites.
Yes, and Satisfactory, and like I appreciate that those games are there, but I do enough of that kind of micromanagement and arranging of things, getting this show up and running, that I don't need to do it in my fun time.
It's my job too, and yet.
Yeah, but there's a difference. It's I don't derive like a level of joy from that. Like, do I get a level of like professional satisfaction? Sometimes, but it's not like I don't go like, oh man, I'm looking forward to solving this problem. It's more like
network, can't wait.
Yeah, it's like, I gotta figure out how to network all the things over here. But yeah, I mean, dude, but I'm happy that those games are out there for people that do love them. So yeah, so Jamie.
Yeah, I've been playing, it's a game that came out, I think, last year called The Council. It's kind of a narrative adventure game. It's set on an island just before the French Revolution. And you have to like rub shoulders with all these like historical figures, like George Washington is there, and a bunch of like people from the Revolution and from like the Spanish monarchy and stuff are also there. But what really gets me about the game is that it's not just like, it's less an adventure game in the sense of, get stick, use stick with chicken to make chicken stick, use chicken stick on ravine or whatever. It's more of like an interpersonal adventure game. You have skills which are like knowledge of other languages or like the ability to manipulate people. and then you use those skills on people in the world in order to solve problems. And those problems then move on the story. And what's cool is that it might be an adventure game, but it has like a customizable skill tree, which dictates which paths you wind up seeing in the game and what kind of actions are easy and which ones are difficult and which ones are impossible. And I haven't really seen any narrative games that are like that. And this was a really interesting kind of stab in that direction.
Yeah, that does actually sound different.
Yeah.
Yeah. That said, though, I do want a chicken stick.
And
Yeah.
well, now that I've said it,
Yeah.
we should do merch or something.
Or like
now that you've put that out there, I feel like we
Yeah.
need a
Right.
chicken stick.
We were talking about the green room earlier. It was sadly pretty empty. No
Well,
chicken stick.
unfortunately, the green room is much like everything you don't presently see on camera, which is a formless void. Right now, I'll work on it for future iterations of the show. I mean, originally I started the garage back over that way, but then after 50 episodes, I was able to constitute a larger experience.
But still no chicken stick.
Yeah, but still that.
So no chicken stick. Look, the chicken stick wasn't brought to my attention until quite literally about a minute ago.
That's fair.
Point. Yeah,
That is
that's
fair,
true.
yeah.
Okay, that's on us.
So, I mean, did you bring enough chicken stick for everyone, Jamie?
Crud. I knew I forgot something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Well, enough sassy robot out of the way. So tell us about Silicon Dreams.
Love to.
Sure. Who wants to field this one?
Ooh.
I mean,
why
I
don't you take it?
either one
You
you
take
can.
the
Okay.
lead. I'll follow up.
So, like you said, it's kind of inspired by Blade Runner. It's set in the future, and in this future, androids, that's like human-shaped robots, are all the rage, and everyone wants one. So you can just go out, buy an android, and then they'll be your servant, slave. It's unclear. The manufacturer says that they don't have feelings, but they would say that. And it's your job in this game to interrogate any androids that break or that glitch or that just sort of seem a bit off in order to figure out if they should be patched or fully decommissioned or if their memory should be wiped or whatever. Or maybe the owner has just kicked up a fuss and you should actually release them. What you do in the game is that you talk to these androids. You have to manipulate their emotions in order to sort of unlock certain bits of information or to see whether they can feel certain emotions, because it's kind of like an emotional stress test. And then you fill out a report for the company afterwards telling whether or not, basically, is this a bad android or not.
Yeah.
And the kicker is that you don't have to give truthful replies in the report. You can deliberately lie if maybe you like this android and you don't want the company to find out that they have been glitching, because maybe you like them even though they've been glitching.
Yeah, and you have to have the ability to be able to cover your tracks or soak up whatever fallout comes as a repercussion.
Yeah. I will say, because I played through the demo last night when I was preparing for the show, and I absolutely meant what I said about just ripping my heart out and just.
Which moment was it?
It was.
Because it's all different,
It is all
The way
different.
it happened for you didn't have to be the only way.
Oh no, exactly. Because I played through all of the interviews, and it was Alex for me.
Okay, the first one.
Yeah, because aside from the kind of expository dialogue of it all was as somebody who's been expository dialogue, it's just but necessary. But but just at the end of it, it was just I felt really bad, because here was this being who was literally who was completely self-aware, who was capable of a complex emotional presence, and was quite literally property, and it was terrible.
Mm.
You know, and at the end, because you know, you're sitting there and you don't have this complete information yet as to where you should be and how you should be carrying yourself as this android, who also, by virtue of the fact that they're us, also has a complicated emotional presence. You know, you don't know what you can really get away with. You know, and it's just like I'm sitting there, and it's just like, because I especially in games that it require me to take on a role, I put a lot of myself in it.
Yeah.
And I know on one hand, I have the corporation that I don't work for, but that owns me. And then I have, on the other
In a
hand,
sense, you do work for them as well.
yeah, but it
Kind of
literally
both and.
lists your salary as 0. That's not work.
Well, you're not a human, though.
Exactly. So it's not work. It's a task.
It's work
Yeah.
in the sense that a blender mixing a smoothie is doing work.
I wouldn't call that work.
Well, it's the same thing, isn't it? A device doing a task.
Yeah, exactly. You know what we call those? We call those tools. I would not call my blender a being. You know, just you know, my blender is a blender. It performs a task which it is better at than me, thus making it a tool. Like, could I manually blend things? Yes. Would it be good? No. So I use a tool instead.
Right.
The difference here is that the corporation, which I really should have just taken that cue now that I'm thinking about it, literally said this is a job that could be done by a person, but they want to cut corners and are having a robot do it.
Yeah.
So really, I guess I should have just cut corners on them. But I felt really bad when I'm sitting there thinking that my android would end up getting binned if I didn't bin Alex.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and I felt terrible.
Yeah.
So
I can dig into that moment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
Can I just clarify? This is the tutorial.
yeah,
And
this is the tutorial.
Yeah, and I love the fact that like we've gone back and forth on a few things in this tutorial, because it was a case of like, are we putting too much pressure on the player to make decisions and to like pick up on subtleties in the tutorial? But like my feeling is that I've sat through enough tutorials that they felt kind of insulting and boring because nothing was really happening. It was just teaching me the game. So we went with a kind of tutorial that mixed learning the ropes with role playing, and I think it really paid off. I'm super happy with how it went.
Yeah.
The tutorial matters.
Read in the story already. It's part of the game itself. It's part of the entire narrative. It's a character who can come back in at later points in the story.
Well, not in mine.
We
but
wanted to let not yet. In a future version of the game.
yeah,
We're in the process of working that out right now. So
yeah.
But we thought the tutorial, or quote tutorial, could carry a little bit more of the narrative weight in this sense. One, because it's not too complicated. The game is pretty straightforward, I like to think, and so it's mostly just learning UI and where things are located and what they do. And secondly, because there's no time pressure in any of the interrogations at any point in the game. There are no time limits, so you can really take your time and look back through every question that you've asked and check the emotional changes that have occurred in a subject and fill in the report as you see fit.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot deeper of an experience in the demo than I was expecting. Like, your game looked really cool when I saw the tweet, and I was all like, yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. And then I was like, but it could just be kind of, this thing. And then I played it, and I was just like, God, why is this just ripping my heart out of my chest?
I am so happy to hear that. So apologies for your broken heart.
It's fine. It'll be fine.
But it makes me a little bit happy. On the
it's not losing more than Mass Effect 3 heartbreaking. But it does raise a lot of very interesting, like these interesting philosophical questions, and Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know where I'm going, but yeah,
Yeah,
it was just
let's
this.
go there. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I don't know.
uh,
Jamie's mostly
but
ready.
Totally, totally.
real
Yeah,
quick before I go there, I'm gonna say,
Mm.
hey, everybody watching, this game is up on Steam right now. You can play the demo and you can wishlist it. And what do you know? All those links are in the description down below.
Do we
What a
actually?
crazy
Do we have to
coincidence.
make a? Do we have to make a change to that? Is the Steam link still available, or was that going to expire after a week?
I
after
forgot to
the
take it
Steam sale?
down, so
Oh.
it's
So
still
it's
up
still
there.
there. Hey,
Okay,
you're
there
welcome.
there is
Yeah.
a distinct possibility that by the time this goes live, that might not be there. So apologies in advance if it isn't. But if they happen to forget to take that down for say 24 to 48 hours, maybe, it's possibly still there. Just so you know, it is October the 26th, so you can do the math. I trust
Chop
you.
chop.
Chop chop.
But yeah,
I think we
it's
might
just-
give another week or something. We
Oh,
just
snap.
we have to take the demo down at some point.
It
'cause-
might also end up on itch at some point. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's we'll see.
What do you know? I can even provide a link to itch.
Ooh.
It's
What a-
almost like
what a
I'm
saucy
halfway
idea.
good at this.
Seems
but
like
yeah,
from here.
yeah, it's just I mean very clearly there is a large influence from Blade Runner with the Void Comp
Yeah.
test.
Mhm.
So how many times did you guys watch that movie as a kid?
As a kid, like I guess once.
Mm.
Weirdly, yeah. I really like it, but I don't really rewatch things. And I watched it once and I was like, well, that was cool. I love that. I guess I'll watch it again, maybe 3-4 times in my lifetime.
Hmm. Yeah. I actually never watched it as a child. And I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like it might be a little much. Like it's not a great like action movie for like a kind of young adult. It's
Yeah.
not light. It's not good for like young kids, right? But I first watched it in university as part of a films course, and then subsequently in my free time and later on. And all like directing issues aside, as far as the story goes, played a huge role in. I mean, cyberpunk is a genre, and of course in our game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say though the theatrical release of that movie is garbage.
Ooh, yeah.
Mm.
I've actually never even seen that version because I just. Why would I waste 2 hours of my life on something that I know is kind of crap?
Yeah, if there's a director's cut, like of course watch that one.
Well, there's like
Yeah.
8 director's cuts, which is one of the problems.
Sure.
Now, I will say that personally,
Mm.
I don't like Blade Runner.
I don't either as a film.
That's fine.
Yeah. I think it is important, and I think it has a lot of wonderful things, and you definitely pulled the most important part from it, you know, because there is something that is so tragic about the lives of the replicants, you know, that they have all of this capacity for humanity, but aren't given the opportunity to experience it, to grow with it,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And you know that, yeah, because like how good of a person could any of those characters have grown into being if they were not treated like property?
Right.
Yeah.
As good as any human being could be in
Yeah.
differing circumstances, right?
And like bear in
Ideally.
mind, yeah, and like bear in mind, I guess I can spoil a tiny plot point from the movie. Like
I think
these
so.
replicants have what 4 or 5 year lifespans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do a lot of like. Imagine that you were like born on your like and into the body of an 18-year-old,
Hmm.
and you only had 4 or 5 years to figure your shit out. Like
Mhm.
nobody will be their best self in that situation.
That's
No,
not
not
part of
at
the
all.
design, though, is it?
Yeah,
And the people making the replicants don't give a shit,
yeah,
right?
No.
They're
They
just
just
a
like
tool, it's a mean to an end, a money-making instrument.
exactly. Are you sexy or can you lift crates or can you fly a ship? That's it.
That's it. That's all we care about.
Or be a soldier in the
Everything else?
case of
Yeah.
Roy. But
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, it is this interesting thing because it's speaking from my own personal experience at 18, if you had given me 5 years from that, like I absolutely would be nowhere near
Yeah.
even the beginnings of my best life.
No. Oh God.
Yeah,
Not at all.
absolutely. Yeah.
It often takes a lifetime, right?
Yeah, one could say.
Yeah. I will say, although going back a bit, although I really do love the movie. I did I watched it I think twice, and I loved it both times. And then I rewatched it with my partner, and I was like, "You're gonna love this movie. It's sci-fi. And it's about like human rights with androids and stuff, and it's like this important thing for like how cyberpunk looked." And she watched it with me, and she was like, what is this plot? Why does anyone do anything? How did he know to go from there to there? Where is he getting his information from? This makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, like, oh yeah, if you just look at it as like a detective movie,
Yeah.
it doesn't work at all.
No, it doesn't. It's
Yeah.
very visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike, say, Blade Runner 2049, which actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And is excellent.
I actually prefer it to the original quite a lot.
Look,
Still have yet to see it. I need to change that. Maybe tonight.
I will say, and I will give, I'm going to give a plug to a friend's channel here. Before you watch it, this will spoil it for you, I freely admit. But I found personally it increased my overall enjoyment of the film. The channel Film Joy, if you are unaware, there's a movies.
So good.
Oh yeah, dude. Movies with Mikey has an episode on Blade Runner 2049, and
Yeah, I think I've seen that
I
even.
cannot recommend it high enough.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah,
I
because
think I linked you to it because I
At the
wrote
start
a
of the
blog
project.
post and I cited it. Yes.
Yep, we cited in one of our blog posts. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
So good, yeah.
if you haven't watched it, absolutely watch it. If you have watched it, watch it again. And because even though it did spoil the movie for me, I still just from the magic of cinema found myself going, did Mikey lie to me? Because there's no way that this isn't how the movie's going,
Yeah.
And it just, it was excellent. I loved it.
Nice.
And yeah, it asks again these very similar questions to the first movie, and also similar questions to specifically Silicon Dreams.
Yeah.
And it just kind of takes it up to an entirely different level by so yeah, definitely watch it.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah. I fell in love with it. And that one thing that Mikey kind of homes in on with the relationship between the leading guy and the leading lady, the idea that they are kind of people who don't get to be people, but who find creative ways to live their life anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of the mission statement of Silicon Dreams.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Yep. And then, of course, alongside that come all of the questions from all of these examples from cyberpunk and Android pop culture. What is life? What is consciousness? What is a human being? What is life worth? Where do we fit in society? And what does money have to do with that? All of these questions come to play. It's very big.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we
trying
haven't
to
even
nail it
gotten to Star Trek Next Generation's Measure of a Man. We haven't gotten to talking about, like in Star Trek Voyager, the personhood of the emergency
doctor.
medical hologram.
Yeah.
And then you start getting into things like Japan's take on it with Ghost in the Shell, with the original movie, the character of the Puppet Master, the Tachikomas
Absolutely.
in Standalone Complex. I mean,
seen that
even
one yet.
hell, Wall-E.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. It's everywhere.
And I'm gonna be honest here, man. Like, just personal thing is like robots and androids that don't look like people, when they show like personhood, that hits me way more than
Right.
than ones that
Yeah.
look like people, because we
Right.
kind of carry this idea that if it looks like us and walks like us and talks like us, it is us, even if it isn't. But like
Right.
when it's a little trash compactor on tank treads with binoculars for eyes,
Yeah.
that's when it like just
Oh, it got the
gets ya.
Pixar treatment though, and they know how to do it up, right?
Yeah.
That's
The
true.
big
That's true.
eyes, the like really emotive eyebrows.
Well, look, man,
It's great. It works. I love
I
Wall-E.
loved Wall
Love it.
D as well.
Which one?
Wall D.
Wall-D.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't see.
giant Wallies that
Oh,
were
the giant one in the
yeah.
ship, of course.
Yeah, because there's Wall D and Wall E.
Uh-huh.
Which makes you wonder, what does WALL stand for? Because it's very clearly an acronym.
How big is Wall-A?
Yeah, exactly.
If this trend continues.
If this trend continues, WALL F is like a little nano machine that goes
Yeah.
through our blood. And,
Right.
you know,
Wall-A is like the observable universe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wall
Just
B is
compact
actually
that
a
up.
Dyson sphere.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's another thing too, because going through your press kit, you
Yeah.
kind of allude to there maybe being some form of revolution in your
I
story.
mean,
We do.
we like to avoid that word.
Well, then, how about some form of status quo
Non-confrontational
challenging
uprising, maybe?
event?
Sure, that sounds fantastic. I love it. Status quo challenging. Yes.
And
There are rumors.
yeah, that reminded me to an extent also of, I'm not familiar if you're aware, but Subsurface Circular.
I have played it a little bit, but I never got far enough for there to be anything close to a revolution. So.
Oh, that is like
Not that
closer
game. Not
to
that.
the end.
Oops, I meant a different game.
But Subsurface Circular, you are also an android. You are also investigating, except you're investigating the disappearance of another android, and it leads you on this path towards discovering a potential android revolution.
Oh, right. I'm thinking of the other one, Quarantine Circular.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That's the one
because
with
there's like a
aliens or
trio of them, and I forget which order they're in. This one, all I know is that Subsurface Circular's in the middle,
Okay.
and it's the only one I've played.
Sure.
But at the end of it, you literally have, it's a binary choice of because you've spent all of this time, investigating this disappearance, and you're ultimately presented with the choice of, do you, as an android in this, do you sacrifice yourself to allow the revolution to occur, or to happen, to let these other sentients have a chance of self-actualization, or do you stop the revolution and maintain the status quo?
Yeah.
And it's this idea of, are you greater than your programming, as all of these others have shown themselves to be? And it's lovely kind of story.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very interesting story. Very topical.
That's a lovely plot point. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if I speak for Jamie here, but I think we're much more interested in all of the shades of gray in between those choices.
Yeah.
Rather than sacrifice yourself so the revolution happens or actively work against it, there are a lot of alternatives. There are a lot of like alternate paths. And the goal is, we haven't quite gotten there. It's all designed and developed, but you will have different choices, different endings, different outcomes, different results, maybe entirely different characters based on choices in earlier characters, based on what can you learn, what can you uncover. All of that information comes out and actually has a real tangible result in informing how you can resolve this eventual conflict.
I think the discussions we've been having about the kind of overall game arc, it kind of feels like we're going to be heading towards some kind of, like, not too many endings, not too many like big different endings. So we might well end up with either there is a revolution or there is not a revolution. And those are the two big like ending channels.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like while I really am interested in that one moment of choice where you have to either say, it's more important that this big movement happens than that I am okay. I kind of feel like those sort of social events happen because of like build up and lots of little choices. I don't think there's like a switch you can throw that's called like the revolution switch. I think it's about building loads and loads of there being lots of different choices that build up to that point. And that's kind of what we're going for. We're trying to build a game where you can have lots of little choices, and it's more important, like, it's not that any one choice will particularly throw you towards that outcome. It's about like the aggregate of your choices.
Right. And I think that's another one of those like core components of our design philosophy for this project is, I mean, we started designing before the pandemic, before the world went a little bit crazier than it was already. But I think living through what's happening now has influenced the direction of our game without question. And one of the additions that's come in might have been there from the very start. I think Jamie discussed it, but that was this like the importance of the only way to affect change in a given system, whether that be society or something else, is through all of its component parts making little bitty actions, not a singular action at a singular point. So if you're discussing revolution, that's not a single person being, Android Jesus, follow me, I'll lead you to salvation, but rather all of these different androids, many of whom you get to interact with and question over the course of the game, all of whom may take on little roles that contribute to the greater whole, or may make a choice that has wide-reaching consequences that no one could have predicted. And we want this game to be about that, to reinforce how important it is that everyone do what they can to see the change, or to realize the change that they want to see.
Exactly. I mean, what you find when you look at historical revolutions is, yes, you do get these like very big kind of characters who become kind of focal points, but usually like exactly. But the people who actually like kickstart the revolution, the people who are closest to throwing the switch, if that makes sense, are usually not the people who are still standing and who actually are still making impactful choices, even like 60% of the way through that revolutionary process.
Yeah. Well, damn, here I thought I just had a silly video podcast about like video games and cool stuff. And no, today we got like the deep ass episode full of like what is it to be alive and how to spark a revolution. Oh man.
I mean, hang on a minute. I don't want to be associated with
I mean,
it's really fictional universe.
Yeah. I would be kind of chuffed if a revolution happened and the people who did it were like, you know what, I played this little game. But it's not a how-to manual.
No, absolutely not.
No, that's what
introspection on what it's like to live through stuff. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the last real big question I have here for you is, do you have any plans moving forward to incorporate things like voice acting into the game, or is it going to continue to stay with this with like the kind of text-based nature that you have in the demo?
That's a great question. I think now's a great time to bring in something I wanted to comment on from the very start.
Snap.
When you introduce us as two of the developers of Silicon Dreams, we are in fact the two developers of Silicon Dreams.
I knew that, but it's just like one of those things that just I'm so used to saying, because I generally have just one or two people on a team of like 5. So
I only bring it up again to say that means that there are certain financial restrictions that we might face.
Wait. Voice acting isn't free?
Is really expensive. really, really expensive.
Yeah.
And it's
And
important that we
it doesn't
pay
help
fair
that this
rates. for them.
game. Yeah, we like obviously we want to pay them decent rates, and we don't want to like exploit anyone. And this game has like it's going to have at least 40,000 words of content when it's done,
That's a lot of
which
words.
is like it's about like
What's the
a bit
conversion?
less than this many words. It's
Yeah.
100,000 is about a novel.
Yeah. So,
So
I don't
yeah,
know. Think of
it's-
how long
it's
an
a lot.
audiobook for an average length novel would be, and it's
Yeah.
See,
depending on
I
the voice actor, a number of dollars per hour, and
yeah.
there you
See, I
go.
have no idea how long audiobooks are because I just, read books.
Yep.
No offense to people that listen to audiobooks. I understand
None
that there are
whatsoever.
time constraints and you can't read while like driving a car. I just, I like to set aside time and read the book.
It's a really nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So to be clear, this is one of like 5 things on the internet that is not sponsored by Audible, right?
I don't have any sponsors. And if I was sponsored by Audible, I don't know. I feel like it'd have to be like a themed channel in some way to be like, all right, and here we are on World of Warcraft talk, and hey, by the way, why not listen to Arthas, Rise of the Lich King on Audible?
Our brains went very different directions because my first thought was just like having a Twitch stream where you just read a book live.
There are legitimate concerns about that.
Concerns.
Yeah, well, because the question then becomes, and is it all effectively boils down to fair use, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Copyright, someone wants to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But with obviously not with this because I built this and this is my creation. But if I were to like play a video game, the idea of fair use would be that it would be transformative for me personally to do it. I mean, I'm saying this more for the audience than for you guys because I figure as your game developers, you have at least looked a little bit into copyright law.
I did a deep dive into copyright law a few years ago. So
I am
for
so
exactly
sorry.
that reason. It's fine.
But with fair use, the idea is to be transformative. But the thing is, if you're just reading a book, that's not necessarily transformative.
Intonation, pronunciation,
I would say,
there's so much artistic about reading.
Well, there is something artistic about reading, but
I don't think it
ultimately,
transforms
though,
it enough for it to be a new work, which is what fair use
Exactly.
requires.
Okay.
because
Like,
ultimately,
bear in mind, there was a case like that. There's no like absolute hard and fast rule to know what is or isn't covered by fair use. It's like there's a bunch of different variables that all kind of indicate what would be fair use if it came to court, and then the court makes its decision based on those variables. But for the record, there was I think like a book review in a newspaper about 100 years ago, and it quoted like 1 or 2 paragraphs of this book in order to exemplify what the book was about, and that was considered not fair use because the judge said, well, when you get right down to it, those few paragraphs are like the whole argument of the book. So you've now sort of spoiled the book, which means that you've just sort of condensed it, which means that now people can read your review and they don't need to read the book, which means that it's not fair use. That was kind of an unusual example, but it's in the precedent now.
Yeah, I would disagree with that precedent, but it doesn't matter.
What about
because,
Spark Notes?
Yeah, exactly.
I do believe that that summary would be different. That would be relative fair use because while it breaks it down and it gives an idea of what like the majority of themes are, that the idea of reading the book itself is a transformative act because everybody is going to take something different from it. Like if we're both sitting down and say reading, I'm going to name a Shakespeare play, Hamlet, despite the fact that that is, in public domain and you can do whatever the hell you want with it. You're still going to see something different in Hamlet than I will by virtue of the fact that we are 2 separate individual humans.
With different experiences and different belief systems, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so like a Spark Notes, a Cliff Notes will give us the plot points, but it won't give us our insight into the work.
I mean, I'd say that you reading, like, I don't know, 50 Shades of Grey does not transform it enough to be a new work, so that's not covered under fair use.
Yeah.
I'd argue it's possible that The Incredible Hulk reading 50 Shades of Grey does transform it enough, because holy hell would I love to see that.
I want to watch it. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I feel, and that's also very clearly parody, which is also covered under things like copyright law.
That's true.
That said, though, I have given thought to doing like a That Tom Clancy Show book club, which would involve small readings of non-plot whatever portions of the book. And also, like, there's just a handful of other authors I want to get on this show really bad, too.
Cool. That sounds very cool. Go for it.
One of which also ties very well into this. If I don't know if you've heard of Martha Wells, who writes a series of books called The Murderbot Diaries.
Okay.
Oh, I looked into those for research for this, yeah.
Oh my God, they're so good. It's 4 novellas and a novel. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm just going off camera for a moment. I'm not even off camera. I'm just looking at something. Please tell me I have it. I do. Oh. I'm so happy. I'm so happy right now that this was in easy access. And let me get back into my... Oh my God, how did I end up over here?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
So I feel that this qualifies as fair use, as I'm just going to read for you right now the opening paragraph for this book. It is All Systems Red, the first book in the Murderbot Diaries.
I'm ready.
Now, I personally, like, my voice is not the voice that I hear in my head for the Murderbot. I hear a gender non-binary person because I feel that the Murderbot is a they. But that is my interpretation. So, Chapter 1. I could have become a mass murderer after I hacked my governor module, but then I realized I could access the combined feed of entertainment channels carried on the company's satellites. It had been well over 35,000 hours or so since then, with still not much murdering, but probably, I don't know, a little under 35,000 hours of movies, serials, books, plays, and music consumed. As a heartless killing machine, I was a terrible failure. If that does not sound like something that you love, you will not love these books. If you love that, read them all.
I'm ready.
And Martha Wells, if you're listening or watching, please come on my show. All right.
Not for him, do it for me.
Yeah. It's just yeah, but they're lovely series of books with, especially given what you're working with Silicon Dreams, they are right up your alley. And for the viewers at home, if you feel that you would love to read these, go ahead and check out your local library or find a local independent bookseller. I say that because I did used to work at my local independent bookseller. So
good for you.
Yeah.
I can't support that message enough.
Yeah, okay. And everybody who watches this has watched more than, like, we'll say 3 episodes of this show knows that I frequently tell people to read more books.
That's advice.
Yeah, I think let's try and do like the quick math on this. I've read at least 15 books this year, so.
Wow,
that's impressive. I've read less than 1. That's because it's a very long book.
Me too. And mine is only the rule book for a pen and paper RPG.
Oh, Lord,
I mean, hey man, look, I don't care what you're reading as long as you read. That said, though, like, there were a lot of really good books that came out this year. One of, like, so far, I'm not gonna say it's like the best book that I've read this year, but it's the one that I've like that really just grabbed me the most. And God damn, I can't even remember the title of it.
Whoops.
But it's the new Max Brooks book. He wrote Zombie Survival Guide in World War Z. This one is a detail of survivor in effectively a Bigfoot World War Z.
Bigfoot World War Z. Okay.
So the world is overrun by big.
Well, not quite. It's a much more confined tale. So it's this like really fancy, futuristic, liberal community outside of Seattle.
Hey, hometown! What's up?
Mount Rainier erupts and they get stranded. You know, like they're cut off from the rest of the world and stuff. And that same event also forces a family of Sasquatch into their territory as well. And so
they're under threat. They are surviving the Sasquatch, but it's not like a big worldwide type thing.
No, it's all told from the perspective of one character as opposed to like the multitudes of characters in World War Z. So it's this very hyper focused work. I read it the day I got it.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I picked it up at about 11 o'clock in the morning my time. I finished it before midnight.
Well done.
Wow.
I mean, dude, that book just like grabbed me by the scruff of my neck and was like, "You were gonna like this story, and you're gonna read it today." And I was like,
"Okay, I'll do it."
What did I do? Okay, hold on. I did a thing and then I fixed it. Okay. But yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
And it's been lovely. Thank you for having us.
But before I can let you go, there's one last thing we have to do. And it's a little bit that I like to call the 5 questions. So, if you two are unfamiliar, and for any first-timers out there in the audience, the 5 questions are, well, they're 5 questions that I prepared.
I got that far.
I'm with you so far.
And they have nothing to do whatsoever with anything we've talked about so far.
Okay.
They're literally just for fun and for me to secretly judge you.
Nice.
Okay.
So, are you two ready?
As ready
Is
as
that
I'll
a
ever.
question?
Oh, no, it is not.
Okay, well then I am ready.
Okay, and just so you know, there are 2 of you. You don't get to tag team responses. I'm expecting a response from each of you.
Okay.
I figured. Yeah, you're not going to let us go that easy.
No, not at all. Question number 1. What's your favorite show?
My favorite show.
Oh, there's so many though.
Oh, I know.
Like favorite ever?
I'm just, like it could be your favorite ever. It could be your favorite to watch on a rainy day.
Really?
It could be your favorite to have with a cup of tea.
Oh.
Okay. Like, this is not the thing that I'm watching right now. It's not the thing that has blown me away recently, but my favorite show of all time is probably Steven Universe.
Okay.
Because it's joyful and happy, and the characters don't always get what they want, but they always like figure it out in the end, and it just it shows you like what it could be to be like a healthy human being if you had a support system and were not like raised in a sea of toxic media sludge.
Sounds like a wonderful place to be.
Nice.
Mine puts out similar vibes. I also, well, I wouldn't say it's my favorite show ever, because I have many of those. They're broken into categories based on genre and other factors.
Do you have like a database or something?
Yeah, it's all up here. But the one that would say is my most favorite at the moment is The Good Place.
That's just fantastic. Yeah.
Brilliant show. Lovely feel good show. Also goes a little deep divey into some philosophy and questions of what happens after we die. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice.
And I got to say that show, it goes through so many twists and turns.
Mm,
There's a huge, like, there are several. Yeah, I won't spoil anything,
don't.
but I will also say that the final episode. There are some shows that do really well, and then they don't quite stick the landing.
Mhm.
And the final episode, for whatever reason, it just feels a little underwhelming, or they completely mess it up. Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
Not Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones. The Good Place is one of those shows where the final episode is the absolutely perfect culmination of everything that has gone into it before, and it just it's not just that they wrote it well, it's that they just captured everything so well. It's incredible.
And not even that everything wrapped up how you hope it would wrap up. There are some heart-wrenching moments. And keep in mind, this is the season, was it season 3?
3, I think
it was only 3 seasons, which I love. American TV doesn't know when to shut up and end it already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this was season 3, brilliant ending, wrapped everything up in a lovely way. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Brilliant comedy.
It wrapped it up better than you imagined it could possibly have wrapped up.
I was dreading the finale.
Yeah.
Because I thought there's no way they can make it satisfying. Like, either it's going to be like, oh, everybody's happy, lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
Or, like, they just kind of fumble it and...
Yeah.
But no.
But they didn't just make it satisfying. They made it, like, spiritually resonant.
Yes.
That is how good it was. Yeah.
I've read multiple posts of people watching this show, seeing the finale, and being like, I became a better person because of this show.
Yeah.
Like, it changed my worldview.
In the least. Yeah.
Well, that is one
a long
ringing
answer to a
endorsement.
short question. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Which leads me to question number 2.
Hit me.
What's your favorite Dungeons and Dragons class?
Ooh.
Asking
the real questions here.
Yep.
It's got to be. I've played several classes, but for me, it's got to be Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was younger, I played the Thief series, and where you sneak around a whole bunch and you douse torches from afar with water arrows and backstab people, and I just never got that out of my system.
Yep.
So yeah, when in doubt, I play Rogue.
Yep. I didn't play a lot of systems in the few times I played D&D, but I would also say Rogue because Oblivion, Archer, Sneak Thief, Member of the Black Hand, obviously.
Yes.
Right? You gotta be. Always that sneaky silent type. I will say, though, D&D is wonderful. But if you want to play a really good role-playing game, play Blades in the Dark. I have to plug it. It's too good not to.
Yeah.
It's all of the narrative, it's all of the fun of D&D distilled down so that there's no complicated rules.
So the question I have to ask is, are you the one that's sponsored?
I wish. I don't know if we. It's just a joke. Of course, we can talk about it. I had a secret chat with Jamie, hey, we should get in touch with this guy and see if we could license this game and do a video game adaptation. I wish we were sponsored.
That would be fantastic. We would love to do that. It's
John Harper hit me up. I love your game. Sorry.
Question number 3. What is your favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday?
I mean, it's got to be Septemberween, right?
Well, okay. I am. I identify as a witch, and I became a witch shortly before Beltane, which in Germany is known as Walpurgisnacht, and elsewhere is not known by anything because nobody knows what it is. It's basically like around Easter time. Mm-hmm. It's that sort of spring festival. So actually, I would say Beltane. It's a lovely ritual about fire and rebirth and like all of that energy kind of re-entering, all of the participants and the world. So yeah, built in.
Very nice. Okay. Joke
Good.
answer aside, I don't know. I don't really care about holidays very much. Can I co-opt and say like significant astronomical events, like eclipses and stuff
Sure.
like that? Does that count?
Yeah.
Kind of a holiday? I don't know.
That's a cool answer.
All right, that's a cool answer. You damn pagans. No.
Bite
It's-
me. Sorry,
Hey.
I'm sorry. You've been a lovely host. I'm sorry.
You can just get the fuck out. No.
No, I don't want to go.
It's fine. I just love giving people crap either way because I'm like
That's good.
I'm a hard atheist, so
Yeah.
I celebrate things because they're just federal.
Yeah.
Question number 4:
Mm.
jelly or jam? This is more a question for Danny because I
Yeah.
know Jamie because I'm picking up some Englishness.
Yeah.
But that's a question.
Surprises me, do you?
I
What-
wonder
what-
if the question for you wouldn't be marmalade or preserves. Because
That's more
as far
accurate,
as I
yeah.
understand it, a jam is like a single consistency, whereas
Mhm.
no, jelly is a single consistency, whereas
Yes.
jam has chunks of the fruit still in it. And it's like a sweet.
Right. So are you basically asking, do you want your jam to have bits of thing in it, or do you like it smooth?
Yes.
Okay.
Jam for me, please.
I like the bits.
Mm.
Okay. Because that like here in the States, that is a that is a legit question.
Yeah.
But what you call jelly is what we call Jell-O.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know what's up.
I know what's up.
All right.
International
Sorry,
Management.
random. Can I do a random bunny trail? Not a bunny trail. On the topic of strange British sweets, I learned from Taskmaster the other day that what's it fucking called? Whipped cream in a can. It's called squirty cream.
Yeah.
Like what's
Yeah.
that about? That's weird.
You
That's
scored it. You
weird.
scored it with the,
I mean,
with the
you're
Squirty
right.
novel.
You're not wrong, but squirty cream is a weird name for a product.
It is. It's what it's called,
Yeah.
though. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway,
I mean, we didn't even call it soda in my house. We called it fizzy drinks.
I'm so sorry. I'm done.
I have
I'll
been
behave.
to the UK a
Mhm.
great many times, and
Mhm.
not a goddamn once has anyone ever called it squirty cream.
Maybe it's a regional thing. I don't know.
It is. That is the term that we grew up with. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
the southeast. So
Yeah.
Okay. Note to self: avoid the southeast of England.
yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Just in general, not because of that. Just don't go.
It's all right.
I don't know. I've never been.
I
No
prefer the
offense.
Scots.
Oh, I think I do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
The
much
southeast
nicer.
is nice, but it's so. It can be a bit bougie.
Wait. You're saying the English can be bougie?
I shocker. I know.
Surprise,
I am not sorry to any of our English viewers or any of our previous English guests. You know it's true.
Yeah, neither am I.
All right. Well, gentlemen, that leads us to question number 5, which is one of my personal favorite questions. And when it came up in my random number generator, I was always happy. But
Very nice.
what is your favorite street food?
Ooh.
My favorite street food.
Oh no. So the problem here is I went to university in Seattle where there is a vibrant food truck culture.
Yes.
Grilled cheese food trucks, authentic Mexican street tacos, Thai food, waffles covered in Nutella, anything you can ever fucking imagine turned into street food.
Yeah.
So pick one.
Yeah, street tacos, like all the way. Like small corn tortilla, slice of lime, seasoned meat, cilantro, boom.
Yep.
There you go.
I can feel
That
that.
sounds really good, and I should try that. But mine, I think, is like a here in Austria it's called a döner, but it's basically a kebab.
Oh, I know Dunner.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Because I have been to Germany, where it's also a thing, and it is amazing.
So good.
It's really good.
And you can't get that German style dinner anywhere in the U.S.
No.
Because we get like the sit down like fancy dinner, you know.
It's like no.
And
Give
I'm
it
like,
to me in a paper sleeve, and it's got to drip down my arm. Otherwise, it's
yes,
not the right kind.
I want it in the Döner burger that I had in Lübeck, where it's basically just, you know, a hamburger, but replace it with scraps of Döner.
Yep.
And then you serve it with French fries, and then you just walk down the street, and you're just like, yes, you know,
Sounds delicious. Yeah.
you know, or like currywurst too. I miss currywurst.
That's a good one. That's a good one too.
Yeah, like America has a great like melting pot of street food.
It's true.
You know, like because I'm originally an East Coaster, but I spent a lot of time in Chicago, and Chicago doesn't really have like traditional food trucks because of like zoning laws and stuff.
Right.
But like there was one in particular that I absolutely adored. It was called Tamale Spaceship.
Ooh.
And it was
They make tamales.
yeah, it was a tamale truck that was all like space themed, and everybody who worked in the truck wore luchador masks. And
That's fucking awesome.
Wow.
it was so great. And they would park out in front of the building that I was going to school at the time, and me and a friend of mine would just go there every Wednesday, and it would just be like beef tamales, please, and a Mexican Coke. That was just my Wednesday lunch.
Fantastic. Like that would be amazing, even if the food were not great.
But you know,
but
it
the
is,
food
though.
was great.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's the key.
yet nowhere has made tamales quite the same. So I guess tamales
I probably
are
had
just
similar.
yeah, they're just
I grew up
some
in a
food
small
is just
town in-
better. Served to you from the back of a truck
Oh,
by
yeah.
somebody wearing like themed costuming.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I can't think of anything better.
yeah. Well, gentlemen, unfortunately, now is the time that the show is over. But first off, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Secondly,
So well.
oh, dude, this has been super fun. Secondly, I have been showing the Twitter for Clockwork Bird.
Right down there.
Right down
In my
there.
lap.
It's like
Yep.
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 Down there.
Oh, it's
I seem to be unable to move my arms, but it's right here. I'm holding it in my lap.
Yeah.
And people can, of course, also go on Steam and wishlist the game.
Please do.
It is super helpful with algorithms and all that
It really
jazz.
is.
Yeah.
It really is. Like we said.
But is there anywhere else that people can go to stay up to date on Silicon Dreams?
Those are the big ones. Twitter
Yeah.
and the Steam page itself are really big. Although I will just plug, not necessarily for Silicon Dreams news, but just to hang out with us. To hang out with us, if I don't know, you think we're fun people. We're on Twitch every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European time, and we just play all sorts of games and sometimes dissect them and talk about our design thoughts, and sometimes show off Silicon Dreams and do our actual project-related things. But that's a fun place to check out if you think you'd have a fun time. We'd love to have you there.
It's
Awesome.
just us two Muppets having fun playing games.
That's all.
Not trying too hard, to be honest. But we did get a wonderful recommendation from someone, like an endorsement, which was somebody said it was like one of the most wholesome streams that they've seen, which is just that's us for wholesome.
Yep, that's the plan. That was
Such
it
a
from the
thing has never been said of me. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for being here. I'll talk with you in just a moment, but before we go, I just need to say thank you all so much for joining us. It means the world to me to have you all here every day. As I kind of alluded to earlier, all of the links for everything we've talked about so far before the show or during the show is going to be down in the description box down below. While you're on your way down there, if you could go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give us a quick thumbs up. And if you're feeling so generous, go ahead and give that bell a quick little ring, so that way you will be notified every time I upload one of these fancy, handy dandy podcasts for you. So Bits and Pixels, thank you for joining us. Remember to wear that mask, drink some water, have some vitamins, and most of all, be kind to each other, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And trust me, it is not a race. So thank you all for joining us, and I will see you on the next episode of That Tom Clancy Show. Good night.